New York Yankees trade reports are escalating as a writer has revealed a wild update on the New York Yankees and the state of this team, a team that clearly needs some help, specifically in regards to pitching and right-handed bats, and multiple trade targets have been named. One of them we're pretty familiar with. The other one would also be very intriguing as well, and we are going to jump into all of this. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Yankees Digest. It's Chris here, and if you guys are part of that 70% that's not subscribed to Yankees Digest, make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel out. We're on that grind. But let's jump into the video. We do have a lot to discuss on the New York Yankees. As we know, that Brian Cashman is going to have to make some moves because this Yankee team just is not good enough right now. They need more pitching help. And yes, having Clarke Schmidt and Luis Gil will help that, but that might not solve all the problems. They need Clarke Schmidt and Gil to both have career seasons. Gil has to prove he's a genuine ace, so Max Fried is not the only arm out there. Meanwhile, Clarke Schmidt's going to have another year replicating last season minus the injury. On top of that, hopefully Marcus Stroman can figure out a way to not be one of the worst pitchers on the planet. Carlos Carrasco is a lost cause. So the Yankees are clearly going to need some more pitching help at the end of the day anyway. And where things stand right now, it's going to be interesting to see how they could pull that one off. So let's dive into all this. A lot to discuss on the New York Yankees and where they stand right now, as there's been multiple different trades proposed for the New York Yankees. And taking a look at the first one, Zach Presnell from Newsweek did say that if the Yankees don't want to send the prospect capital it would take to land Sandy, sorry, I hear that music outside as well, it's throwing me off. But to just reread that, if the Yankees don't want to send the prospect capital it would take to land Sandy Alcantara, well then they could opt for a reunion with Michael King. King has top of the rotation potential, while the Yankees could also afford to re-sign Michael King in the off season. And the trade that was proposed was that the New York Yankees would trade away Spencer Jones, Ben Hess, and Cade Smith for Michael King and Luis Ariz. So this would really be a trade for Michael King where Luis Ariz would be thrown in there. Now the Yankees give up a lot here. Spencer Jones has been on absolute fire this season with the Somerset Patriots. Ben Hess is an elite prospect for the New York Yankees as well, and I will do a video on him entirely. And also, Cade Smith is another higher-ranked Yankees prospect, so the Yankees would be giving a lot to the Padres to receive a guy back who was the main piece for the Juan Soto trade in general, while also landing Ariz, who's had a rough start to the season, so he'd mainly be depth for the New York Yankees until his contact hitting can return to being what it is. But Michael King has been awesome this season nonetheless. 2.42 ERA in 4 starts, got a whip of 1.075, 24 strikeouts in 22 innings. He has been great for the San Diego Padres in this time with that 2.42 ERA. So he'd be a very, very great piece for the Yankees to reacquire. Meanwhile, Luis Ariz, he's had a rough season so far. Negative WAR in 66 at-bats. He only has 17 hits, which is a 2.5 or 0.258 batting average. And that is well down from his career average of 321. And that's really been the thing about Luis Ariz. He's a single machine because he makes a ton of contact but isn't a great athlete. His fielding numbers are not great as well, so it really does lead to what he's got is a contact bat where he can get you on first, and that's about it. So not really the greatest trade piece for the New York Yankees to acquire, but if he bounces back, could give them some help at that leadoff spot, which is still a bit up in the air given there's been a few different guys, and it hasn't gone entirely badly as well. So that would be an interesting trade for the New York Yankees to pull off. I mean, is it worth Spencer Jones? That's the real question you got to ask yourself. If you think it is, then you could go for it, but giving up Spencer Jones and Ben Hess for Michael King is very, very risky because those two guys could both completely break out onto the scenes. I do think, if we're being honest, the Yankees could find a way to get a guy who maybe won't be as good as Michael King has been this season, but also could still hold his own and kind of hold down the fort for the Yankees. Imagining Luis Gil and Clarke Schmidt come back and pitch like they did last season, the Yankees need a fourth starter. You don't have to trade for Michael King. So they could figure other ways out, as well as the fact that they do keep on going with Carlos Rodon and try to figure out what's been going on with him. He's clearly in his head, and though he pitches a lot of strikeouts, he's given up a lot of runs. His ERA is over 5. He's had a rough season so far, despite the good strikeout numbers. But those strikeout numbers maybe are a sign that Rodon can get things under control when he desperately needs to. Now, the Yankees, their top prospect list would take a serious hit as number 2 and 3, and Jones and Hess would both be gone. Now, Hess is with the Hudson Valley Renegades right now. Meanwhile, Spencer Jones is with the Somerset Patriots, so the Yankees would lose two of their top prospects there, one of them being their pitcher, their best pitching prospect, and also their best outfielding prospect, two positions that the Yankees could use. I mean, outfield is fine right now, but in the long run, it's going to be very interesting to see what the New York Yankees opt to do with this team. That's not the only trade that was mentioned, though, because another one is where the Yankees make a very sneaky move to trade Everson Pajeda and Brock Selvage for Bobby Miller, the former top prospect for the Los Angeles Dodgers, who really doesn't have a pathway to success with the Dodgers. Now, looking at what Presnell said, he did mention the Yankees are trotting out Carlos Carrasco in their starting rotation, unfortunately. New York could take a shot on low-risk, high-reward former top prospect from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Bobby Miller. Miller doesn't have a clear path to the big leagues with the Dodgers, but he could be a starter in New York. The Dodgers are opting for other top prospects over him as they battle injuries right now. The Dodgers pitching staff usually deals with injuries, so it will make them a bit less likely to trade Miller. But as mentioned, they are opting for other names over Bobby Miller right now. So the New York Yankees definitely could find their way to essentially making a deal for Bobby Miller that looks like this. I mean, I would trade Selvage and Pajeda, but the way that Bobby Miller's been playing right now does make things a bit worrisome as he's been up and down, mainly down recently, which is the big fear there. I mean, where you look at things right now, Bobby Miller in 2025, he's been nice. 2.25 ERA in his 3 games pitched, 2 of them starts, 12 innings so far, 11 strikeouts, a whip of 1.42, which is not very good, but the ERA is good. On top of that, his minor league stats, he does have an ERA over 4, which has kept the Dodgers a bit weary of him. Meanwhile, when he's gotten to the major leagues, he's got a 13-8 record, but his ERA is 5.24 in the 35 games that he started and the 180 innings pitched. So Miller has not really been able to find his way in the majors yet, and maybe, just maybe, if he were to take a step back, if he were to go to a different team, maybe things could change. But where things stand right now, it would definitely be a risky trade. And then you have to just ask yourself if Brock Selvage is worth it. I do think trading Everson Pajeda is worth it. I just don't know if trading Selvage is. Given you are acquiring another young pitcher in return, I think there's an argument to it. I think at the end of the day, I would do that trade. Don't get me wrong, but it would make me a bit weary because Miller's been up and down in the majors, mainly, as I said, mainly down. So it does make things a bit interesting as well. Despite all this, I would like to see the New York Yankees make a move for a pitcher. I still think a move like Eric Fedde could be good for them. There's a few different options they do have. I don't think they need to swing for some grand slam of a trade. You don't need to acquire Sandy. There's a few guys who you just don't need to go for because they're just going to be so pricey. It's going to require George Lombard Jr. getting traded, and you don't need to do that. He's your top prospect. You don't need to go out there and trade him right now for a starting pitcher. Remember, you need a 4th arm. And right now, a 4th arm for the Yankees would be their 2nd arm. So you need a 4th arm. You could find that for cheaper than what these trades are. The Miller one's interesting. I definitely would like that. But I'd also rather than take some veteran who they have for the rest of the year and then just figure things out from there. Gerrit Cole will be back. The Yankees will be able to find their way pitching-wise, given they have a lot of money allocated it between Max Fried, Gerrit Cole, and Carlos Rodon. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go. But guys, let me know what you think. Would you do either of these trades? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Yankees.